At the beginning of the last decade, the wealthiest Americans got 2 huge tax cuts, 2001, 2003. Meanwhile, insurance companies, financial institutions, they were all allowed to write their own rules or find their way around rules. We were told the same thing we're being told now. This is going to lead to faster job growth. It's going to lead to greater prosperity for everybody. Guess what? It did. Yes, the rich got much richer. Corporations made big profits. But we also had the slowest job growth in half a century. The typical American family actually saw their incomes fall by about 6%, even though the economy was growing. Because more and more of that growth was just going to a few, and the average middle-class American wasn't seeing it in their paychecks. Healthcare premiums skyrocketed. Financial institutions started making bets with other people's money that were reckless. And then our entire financial system almost collapsed. You remember that? It wasn't that long ago. I know you guys are young, but it was pretty recent. Now, some of you may be science majors in here. Usually, you need more scientists, you need more engineers. Yeah, I was not a science major myself. But I enjoyed science when I was young. And if I recall correctly, if an experiment fails bad, you know, you learn from that. Right? I mean, sometimes you can learn from failure. That's part of the data that teaches you stuff, that expands your knowledge, but you don't then just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. You go back to the drawing board. You try something different. But that's not what's been happening with these folks in Washington. A lot of the folks who are peddling these same trickle-down theories, including members of Congress and some people who are running for a certain office right now. Instead of moderating the views even slightly, instead of saying, you know what we did really didn't work, and we almost had a second Great Depression, and maybe we should try something different. They have doubled down. They proposed a budget that showers the wealthiest Americans with even more tax cuts, and then pays for these tax cuts by gutting investments in education, in medical research, in clean energy, in healthcare. These are the facts. If the cuts they're proposing are spread out evenly across the budget, then 10 million college students, including some of you, would see your financial aid cut by an average of more than $1,000 each. Now, thousands of medical research grants for things like Alzheimer's and cancer and AIDS would be eliminated. Tens of thousands of researchers and students and teachers could lose their jobs. Our investments in clean energy that are making us less dependent on imported oil would be cut by nearly a fifth. By the time you retire, instead of being enrolled in Medicare like today's seniors are, you get a voucher to pay for your health care plan. But here's the problem. If health care costs rise faster than the amount of vouchers, like they have been for decades, the rest of it comes out of your pocket. If the voucher isn't enough to buy a plan with the specific doctors and care that you need, you're out of luck. And by the middle of the next century, by the middle of this century, excuse me, by about 2050, at a time when most of you will have families of your own, funding for most of the investments I've talked about today would have been almost completely eliminated altogether. Now, this is not an exaggeration. This is math. And when I said this about a week ago, the Republicans objected. They said, justify all these cuts? Well, right, you didn't. Because you knew that people wouldn't accept them. So you just gave a big number. And so what we've done is we've just done math. This is what it would mean. They said, well, we didn't specifically propose to cut student loans. Okay, if you don't cut student loans, then that means you've got to cut basic research even more. Or the money's got to come from somewhere. You can't give over $4 trillion worth of additional tax cuts, including the folks like me who don't need them and weren't asking for them, and it just comes from some magic tree somewhere. So don't, if you hear them saying, well, the president's making this stuff up, no, we're doing the math. If they want to dispute anything that I've said right now, they should show us specifically where they would make those cuts. Amen. $150,000 to pay for all of these things combined. Think about that. So let me ask you, what's the better way to make our economy stronger? Do we give another $50,000 in tax breaks to every millionaire and billionaire in the country? No! Or should we make investments in education, research, and healthcare? I want folks to get rich in this country. I think it's wonderful when people are successful. That's part of the American dream. You know, it is great that you make a product, you create a service, you do it better than anybody else. That's what our system's all about. But understand, the share of our national income going to the top 1% has climbed to levels we haven't seen since the 1920s. The folks who are benefiting from this are paying taxes at one of the lowest rates in 50 years. Yeah. You might have heard of this, but Warren Buffett is paying a lower tax rate than his secretary. Yeah. Now that's wrong. That's not fair. And so we've got to choose which direction we want this country to go. Do we want to keep giving those tax breaks to folks like me who don't need them? Or give it to Warren Buffett? He definitely doesn't need them. Or Bill Gates, he's already said, I don't need them. Or do we want to keep investing in those things to keep our economy going and keep us secure? That's the thing. Now it's time for members of Congress to tell you where they stand. In the next few weeks, we're going to vote on something we call the Buffett Rule. Very simple. If you make more than $1 million a year, I'm not saying you have $1 million, right? I'm not saying you saved up, all your money and you made smart investments and now you got your nest egg and you're preparing for retirement. I'm saying you're bringing in $1 million or more a year. Then what the rule says is you should pay the same percentage of your income in taxes as middle class families. And if we do that, then it makes it affordable for us to be able to say, for those people who make under $250,000 a year, like 98% of American families, then your taxes don't go up. And you can still make those investments in things like student loans, college, science, and all, infrastructure, and all the things that make this country great. And this is where you come in. This is why I came to see you. I mean, it's nice to see you. The weather's nice. You guys have been a wonderful audience. I learned about the world. There were all kinds of reasons for me to want to come down, but one of the reasons I came was I want you to call your members of Congress. I want you to write them an email. I want you to tell them, don't give tax breaks to folks like me who don't need it. Tell them to start investing in things that will help the economy grow. Tell them if we want to bring down our deficit sensibly, then we've got to do it in a balanced way that's fair for everybody. Remind them who they work for. Tell them to do the right thing. You know, as I look out across the gymnasium, everybody here, from all different backgrounds, from all different parts of the country, you know, each of us is here because somebody, somewhere, felt responsibility for other people. Our parents, obviously, our grandparents, great-grandparents, the sacrifices they made. Some of them took enormous risks coming into this country with nothing because they wanted to live a better life. A lot of them did without so that you could benefit. But they weren't just thinking about their families, they were thinking about their communities. They were thinking about their country. That's what responsibility means. It means that as you have greater and greater opportunity, then the scope of you being able to help more people and think about the future expands. And so you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your kids, your spouse, your family, your grandkids, your neighborhood, your state, your nation. You're thinking about the future. And now it's our turn to be responsible. Now it's our turn to preserve the American dream for future generations. Now it's our turn to rebuild, to make the investments that will assure our future, to make sure that we've got the most competitive workforce on earth, to make sure that we've got clean energy that can help clean the planet and help fuel our economy. It's our turn. It's our turn to rebuild our roads and our bridges, and our airports and our ports. It's our turn to make sure that everybody here, every child born in whatever neighborhood in this country it is, that if they're willing to dream big dreams and put some blood, sweat, and tears behind it, they can make it. I know we can do that.